Hello, I'm Tiernan Ray. 5.5 years ago, I created the technology letter to help the individual investor beat the market. And 3.5 years ago, in July of 2022, I created a new feature of the technology letter, the TL20, a curated list of 20 great companies in which to invest. And I created the TL20 for a very important reason, which is that again and again, when I talk to individuals that I met, they could be taxi drivers, they could be people working on the checkout line, talking about wanting to invest in individual stocks, they simply did not know where to begin. And usually, they would go and invest in the companies that they had heard about in the news. And those were a very small set of companies, the largest companies: Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, Tesla. And these investors did not know any other way to start looking at stocks. They didn't know about the dozens of other companies whose stocks are also investable and that actually promise better returns than most of those names. So I created the TL20 to give these investors something they could just grab and have a list to start with. 3.5 years later, how is the TL20 done? It's beaten all of its benchmarks. So if we go through the ways that we reference stock investing returns, the Russell 3000 is the most common measure of US listed stocks. It covers about 98% of them. In 3.5 years, the Russell 3000 is up 77%. The Standard and Poor's 500, also a very common measure. It's always referred to in all coverage of the market. In that same time, up about 80%. The iShares Mixed Tech Software Exchange Traded Fund, ETF, one of the best tech ETFs around. In 3.5 years, it's up 85%. Kathy Wood, one of the most famous fund managers there has ever been, her flagship exchange traded fund, the ARK Innovation, the ARKK, in that same time, up about the same as the iShares, about 85%. NASDAQ Composite, also an important touchstone for tech investing, up 105% in 3.5 years. The two that have done a whole bunch better than those are the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, the SOX, which is the most common measure of chip makers, companies such as Intel and Nvidia. The SOX in that time is up 194%. And better than all of those is the VanEck Semiconductor ETF, which is up about 272%. The TL20 in that same period of time, 3.5 years, since July of 2022, are you ready? It is up 312% through the beginning of 2026. It has more than quadrupled. So it is completely by a wide margin topped all of those benchmarks. What does this tell you about investing? It tells you that if you look closely at industries such as technology, and you look closely at the companies there, and you spend years understanding and learning about them and about their management teams, their products, the ways that they serve these markets, you will find good companies. And then if you look at valuation and understand what makes for good stock valuation, and you find the right opportunities, you can get market beating returns from many stocks. This is what I've done. I've been covering technology for 31 years, and I put all of that into the TL20 through 6 rebalancings. A rebalancing is when I change up the composition of the TL20, take some names out, put other names in. All of that has led to a more than quadrupling, 312% better than NASDAQ, better than S&P, better than the Russell, better than Kathy Wood, much better, better than even the benchmark of semiconductors, the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, as good as it has been, and it's been great, and better than the best ETF for semis, the VanEck Semiconductor ETF. This is what I do every single day of every week of every year now for 5.5 years and 3.5 years with the TL20. Check it out, the Technology Letter, www.thetechnologyletter.com.